Jaguar Wright has once again sent social media into complete chaos. This time, the controversy involves Beyoncé, Diddy, Jay-Z, and a series of explosive claims that have been spreading across interviews, social media clips, and celebrity gossip channels. But before we go any further, there is one thing that needs to be made absolutely clear. Many of the claims discussed in this story are allegations, rumors, or statements made by individuals, and they have not been independently verified as fact. And that distinction matters. Because over the past few years, Jaguar Wright has become one of the most controversial voices in entertainment. She has made numerous accusations involving some of the biggest names in the music industry, often claiming that there are secrets behind the scenes that the public has never been told. Now, after renewed attention surrounding Diddy and the allegations connected to him, social media users have started revisiting some of Jaguar's old statements and combining them with newer claims made by other people. Suddenly, Beyoncé's name is being pulled into conversations that have gone far beyond ordinary celebrity gossip. But where did these rumors actually come from? Who made the original claims? And more importantly, what is genuinely supported by public evidence and what is simply speculation spreading at lightning speed online? Because once you start separating verified information from internet rumors, this story becomes much more complicated than the viral headlines suggest. Let's break it all down. The claim that started the new wave of speculation. The transcript centers heavily on Jaguar Wright and other public figures making serious allegations about Beyoncé's personal life and health. Those claims are unverified, and there is no basis to present them as established fact. However, that hasn't stopped social media from running with them. In the world of celebrity news, one dramatic statement can quickly turn into thousands of posts. A short video gets clipped. The clip gets reposted. Someone adds their own interpretation. Then another creator connects it to an older rumor. And before long, an allegation that began with one person is being repeated online as though it has already been proven. That's exactly why this situation became so explosive. The transcript describes a series of allegations involving Beyoncé supposedly being connected to Diddy's social circle and private events. It also references claims made by attorney Ariel Mitchell regarding alleged recordings connected to Diddy and unnamed celebrities. But these are separate claims, coming from different sources, and they should not automatically be treated as proof of one larger conspiracy. Still, online audiences began connecting everything. And that's where Jaguar Wright entered the center of the conversation. Jaguar has spent years making controversial statements about powerful figures in the entertainment industry. Some people see her as someone willing to say what others are afraid to say. Others believe that her claims must be carefully scrutinized and independently verified before they are accepted. That divide has only become more intense as Diddy-related stories have dominated public discussion. And then another celebrity name added even more fuel to the fire. Orlando Brown's viral comments. The transcript also references comments made publicly by Orlando Brown. His statements immediately went viral because they involved one of the biggest names in music, Beyoncé. As expected, social media reacted almost instantly. Some people believe the comments were evidence that more celebrities knew something behind the scenes. Others completely rejected the allegations and pointed out that a viral accusation, even when made by a famous person, is not evidence by itself. And that's the biggest issue with stories like this. A celebrity saying something does not automatically make it true. Yet on social media, the line between accusation and confirmation can disappear incredibly quickly. One person makes a claim. Another person says, well, Jaguar said something similar. Then someone else finds an old interview involving Diddy, Jay-Z, or Beyoncé and says, see, that proves it. But does it? Not necessarily. And one interview that has been repeatedly pulled into this conversation involves DaBaby discussing an encounter at Diddy's home. DaBaby's interview gets dragged into the story. According to the transcript, an interview involving DaBaby began circulating again. In that interview, DaBaby described being at Diddy's house around 2020 and finding himself in the company of several high-profile people, including Jay-Z and Beyoncé. He described Diddy clearing out many people from the house while a smaller group remained. DaBaby then talked about Beyoncé approaching him and introducing herself, which he described as a memorable experience. But here's the important point. DaBaby's account of being in the same room with Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Diddy does not, by itself, prove any of the more serious allegations being circulated online. Being present at the same event or social gathering is not evidence of involvement in alleged criminal conduct or proof of someone's private medical status. However, once that clip started circulating alongside the other rumors, many viewers began treating it as another piece of a much larger puzzle. That's how internet speculation works. A normal interaction suddenly gets re-examined. An old interview becomes suspicious. A celebrity connection becomes a secret relationship. And soon, people are creating theories from information that may have no actual connection. But the transcript doesn't stop there. It brings up another series of rumors involving Rihanna, Jay-Z, Chris Brown, and alleged sexually transmitted infections. These are extremely serious personal and medical allegations, and they require a very high standard of evidence. The problem is that online gossip doesn't always operate that way. Old rumors come back to life. The transcript revisits long-running claims involving Rihanna and other celebrities. It references statements attributed to Jaguar Wright and other individuals about past relationships and alleged infections. Again, these claims are not established facts simply because they have been repeated online. And that distinction becomes especially important when discussing someone's medical information. A person's health status is not something that should be guessed based on who they have been photographed with, who they have dated, or which parties they attended. But social media users often take exactly that approach. They see a celebrity associated with another celebrity. Then they hear a rumor involving that person. Then they begin building an entire chain of assumptions. The transcript itself demonstrates how quickly that can happen. One allegation gets connected to another. Then an old lawsuit is mentioned. Then a separate interview is added. Then a decades-old celebrity health story gets brought into the conversation. Suddenly, viewers are told to connect the dots. But connecting dots only works when the dots actually belong to the same picture. And that is something the internet often forgets. Because speculation is not evidence. Association is not proof. And repeating an allegation 1,000 times doesn't transform it into a verified fact. Still, one person in the transcript made statements that added another layer to the discussion. A woman identified in the source material discussed her own experience living with HIV and said she did not know exactly who had transmitted the virus to her. Her comments were personal and emotional. She discussed past relationships and concerns about a former partner, while also explicitly acknowledging that she could not simply assume who was responsible. That final point is crucial. She herself recognized that she did not know for certain. And yet online viewers quickly began speculating about identities. That is where a personal account can become transformed into a public guessing game. And the transcript then takes the story even deeper into allegations surrounding Diddy. Diddy's name becomes the center of everything. Since the allegations and legal controversies involving Diddy became a major public topic, countless older stories have been dragged back into the spotlight. Every former associate, every old interview, every party, every rumor. People are now looking at the past through a completely different lens. The transcript references claims from online personalities and sources discussing an alleged incident involving Diddy and another inmate, along with additional claims regarding his health and access to medication. These allegations should not be presented as confirmed without reliable evidence. But their existence online demonstrates something important about the current environment surrounding Diddy. Almost every new rumor now spreads faster because audiences are already expecting another shocking revelation. That expectation creates the perfect conditions for misinformation. People no longer ask, "Is this true?" Instead, they ask, "How long before this is confirmed?" And that is a dangerous shift, because an allegation can be false. A rumor can be exaggerated. A clip can be edited without context. And even a real lawsuit only proves that someone has made a legal claim. It does not automatically establish that every allegation inside the lawsuit has been proven in court. But social media rarely waits for that distinction. And that brings us to one of the most controversial parts of this entire transcript, the alleged material connected to Kim Porter. The book, the emails, and the internet's biggest question. For years, supposed writings and claims attributed to Kim Porter have circulated online. Whenever Diddy's name trends, these materials tend to resurface. The transcript references alleged book content and an alleged email from someone described as connected to publishing. Those materials contain major claims involving celebrities and sexually transmitted infections. But alleged leaked documents require authentication. A screenshot circulating online is not automatically genuine. An email can be misrepresented. A document can be fabricated. And even authentic documents can contain unverified claims from the people who created them. This is where viewers need to slow down. The biggest mistake in celebrity gossip is assuming that a document is proof simply because it looks official. That's not how evidence works. Still, these materials became another major source of speculation because the transcript connected them to previous lawsuits and public allegations involving Usher. And once again, internet users began creating a larger theory about relationships between major celebrities and the music industry. But there was one more major figure whose name Jaguar Wright brought directly into her public accusations.
Jay-Z.
And what Jaguar said about him and the industry's power structure would send this conversation into an entirely different direction. The more people dig into this story, the bigger the list of celebrity names becomes. Beyoncé,
Jay-Z, Diddy,
Usher, Rihanna, Chris Brown, and even historical stories involving celebrities who publicly discussed their own health. But here's the problem. Just because multiple famous names appear in the same viral conversation doesn't mean they're all connected by one proven story. And that's exactly where Jaguar Wright's claims have caused the most controversy. Because Jaguar hasn't simply accused one person. She has repeatedly argued that powerful figures in the entertainment industry are connected through a much deeper system. A system she believes has existed for years. And during a high-profile appearance with Piers Morgan, Jaguar made explosive statements about Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and other major figures. She argued that people should look beyond individual celebrities and examine the people and institutions she believes help create or protect powerful industry figures. These were her allegations and opinions, not findings established by a court. But the interview gave those claims an enormous audience. And when Diddy-related allegations later dominated headlines, social media users began revisiting Jaguar's old comments all over again. Some said, "She warned us." Others said, "Allegations still need proof." And that argument has now become central to everything surrounding her. Because there's a major difference between being controversial and being correct. Sometimes a controversial person may raise a legitimate issue. Other times, they may make claims that cannot be substantiated. The only responsible approach is to examine each claim individually, not accept everything, and not automatically reject everything. That brings us to one of the most serious allegations discussed in the transcript. A lawsuit filed by a man identified publicly as John Doe. The lawsuit that added more questions. According to the transcript, a man identified as John Doe filed a lawsuit accusing Diddy of serious misconduct and alleging exposure to HIV. The complaint reportedly described events that allegedly occurred after the man attended a party connected to Diddy in 2014. According to the allegations described in the transcript, the man claimed he began feeling unusual after consuming drinks and later lost consciousness. He alleged that he later woke up during an assault. He also claimed that subsequent medical testing eventually showed that he had contracted HIV. These are serious allegations. But it is essential to understand what a lawsuit means. A lawsuit is an accusation made through a legal process. The filing itself is not automatically a final determination that every allegation has been proven true. Courts examine evidence. Defendants can respond. Claims can be challenged. Cases can be dismissed, settled, or proceed to trial. So when social media users see the words lawsuit filed, they should not immediately translate that into everything alleged has been legally proven. That said, the allegations became part of a much broader public conversation surrounding Diddy. And because Diddy had already become the subject of intense scrutiny, people began connecting this lawsuit with every other rumor they could find. That's where the conversation took another dramatic turn. Suddenly, people started looking backward through decades of entertainment history, and they began naming celebrities who had publicly experienced HIV or AIDS-related illnesses. When history gets turned into a conspiracy theory, the transcript mentions several well-known figures, including Magic Johnson, Eazy-E, and Craig Mack. But these are very different people from different periods, with different personal histories and circumstances. Their names appearing in one discussion does not establish that their health situations were connected. Magic Johnson publicly announced that he was living with HIV in 1991 and later clarified important distinctions regarding HIV and AIDS. Eazy-E publicly revealed his AIDS diagnosis shortly before his death in 1995. Craig Mack died in 2018, with reports discussing his long-term health. These are real historical events involving real people. But turning them into evidence of one giant entertainment industry conspiracy would require actual proof. And that proof cannot simply be replaced by a narrator saying, "Clearly, something is going on." That's an assumption. And assumptions are exactly what makes celebrity rumors so difficult to control. When audiences already believe that Hollywood is full of secrets, every unexplained event becomes potential evidence. Every relationship becomes suspicious. Every party becomes a possible crime scene. Every illness becomes a conspiracy. And every denial becomes, somehow, proof of a cover-up. That's a theory that can never be disproven because every outcome is interpreted as confirmation. But responsible reporting doesn't work that way. You need evidence. You need reliable sourcing.
You need context.
And most importantly, you need to distinguish between a person's claim and an established fact. Which brings us back to Beyoncé. What is actually confirmed about Beyoncé? This is perhaps the simplest part of the story. Despite the massive amount of speculation discussed throughout the transcript, the central allegations about Beyoncé's alleged medical status are not established as fact by the material provided. The source itself ultimately acknowledges that the claims are not confirmed. That is an important detail because the earlier portions of the transcript use highly dramatic language that could lead viewers to believe there is certainty where there isn't. And this is exactly why higher-attention celebrity content must be written carefully. You can cover the controversy. You can explain what people are saying. You can discuss why something is trending. But you cannot turn unverified claims about a person's health into factual statements, especially when the person has not publicly confirmed those claims. So the real story here isn't Beyoncé has been exposed. The more accurate story is that Beyoncé's name has been pulled into a rapidly expanding network of online allegations and speculation surrounding Diddy, Jaguar Wright, and other celebrity figures. That's still a major story. In fact, it's arguably more interesting, because it raises a much bigger question. Why are people so willing to believe almost anything once enough celebrity names get attached to it? The Jaguar Wright effect. Jaguar Wright occupies a unique position in celebrity culture. She is not simply a gossip blogger repeating anonymous tips. She is an artist with personal experience in the music industry and connections to people within that world. That gives her statements a level of interest that ordinary internet rumors don't always have. But having industry experience doesn't eliminate the need for verification. And that's where her supporters and critics completely disagree. Supporters point to previous statements they believe later gained credibility. They argue that people dismissed her too quickly. Critics argue that making some accurate observations does not mean every future allegation should automatically be believed. Both sides ultimately return to the same question. Where is the evidence for each specific claim? That question matters more than ever. Because once someone develops a reputation for telling secrets, Audiences may start believing claims before evidence appears. And that's when the danger of viral misinformation becomes enormous. Imagine hearing a shocking allegation for the first time. You might doubt it. Then you hear a second person repeat something similar. Now you're interested. A third person mentions a completely separate story involving one of the same celebrities. Now you're suspicious. By the time you've seen 10 videos, your brain may remember the repetition more strongly than the actual evidence. You don't remember where the original claim came from. You only remember that everyone is talking about it. And that's how a rumor becomes internet reality. Not through proof, through repetition. Why did he change the way people view these stories? One reason these older allegations are being revisited is the enormous public attention surrounding Diddy. When someone as famous and influential as Diddy becomes connected to major allegations and legal proceedings, people naturally begin looking back. They want to know who knew what, who was around him, what stories were ignored. Were there warning signs?